afternoon. We're happy to be here today to discuss with our leading person in the area of drones. And this is known as the Vance Community Partners, Inc. And that organization is the corporation which is located in Norristown, located at 216 Cherry Street. And during that period of time, we were able to put together an organization comprised of many outstanding individuals educationally and informatively in reference to mentoring young people in the area of not only Norristown, but the entire Montgomery County, Philadelphia area. So today we have a gentleman with us who is very knowledgeable and is a very distinguished individual from Philadelphia. And he is a professor at Temple University. And I'm going to give him an opportunity to introduce himself. And we'll ask you at this present time, what is your full name?
Well, thank you for those kind words of introduction. So my name is Jay Bagley, and I am with Temple University Physics Faculty. And my nonprofit is Skylark Motion Incorporated, which is a drones and aviation program. And we go throughout Philadelphia, and we're in Norristown with the Vance Community program. But we're connected also with the area airport, the Airport Owners of Pennsylvania Association. We're with the Drone Society of Pennsylvania. I'm also with the Civic Air Patrol. And I fly small airplanes.
How long have you been doing this, Jay?
Well, the first time I really got into aviation, I came out of college in 70 something.
Okay. Quite a few number of years, right?
We had a lieutenant colonel. He's a young Afro-American he needed somebody to help him build the helicopter at Philadelphia Airport. And it was 4 of us. And believe it or not, we built that helicopter. And he wanted to get another grant to build more helicopters. And so being 4 Afro-Americans, which was nothing held against us, but we didn't get the second part of the grant. So with that was just a prelude of something that I didn't know I was going to go into, because I was an athlete and I played basketball during that time. So I had notoriety as
You did quite a number of things with young people then.
Yeah. So my mentor during that time was the Philadelphia 76ers championship team, which I was engaged with Will Chamberlain, Wally Jones, Kyle Greer, Chet Walker. So they were guys who mentored young ball players so that we have a direction. We had talent, but what you gonna do with that talent?
A lot of wisdom there.
Well, I was blessed. Had people like Sonny Hill, John Chaney. They all moved around the city playing basketball on different courts. And they would come to our courts and move us little guys out. And so that's how I really met that whole group. And they learned about my talent, so they took me in as what they call young boy.
Okay, so that mentorship grew you into a leadership role. And what type of a leadership role did it lead you to as you ventured on with your career?
Well, absolutely, because I love the game of basketball. I was walking away from it. At the same time, the 76ers was drawing me into it. And all these guys played basketball. So they worked on my direction. I had something there that everybody didn't have the opportunity to have with that kind of support.
So it was more fun than it was work.
For me, yeah. So they was letting me know, like, you need to do something that you love to do. Don't just go get a job. If you ever get a job that you love, you never work. So they put that in my mind, and the most influence that came down the line was Will Chamberlain. For him to have to pay attention to a little guy like me, he gave me and my teammates tickets to come see him play basketball.
As I can remember, his nickname was Wilt the Stoat, was it?
Absolutely. And he's a real go to basketball. So, and basketball was a way for all of us to stay out of violence, because there was still a lot of violence going on with guys of my age. So that was a way to get out. And but in the summertime, I had 73 scholarships. So in the summertime, I would come home and work in the community. That was from my mother and father. They ran programs on the playgrounds throughout Philadelphia.
Did you come from a large family, or?
It's 10 in my family.
10?
Plus everybody's friends.
And what's the breakdown
so
of those 10?
That's like 20.
Okay, 10.
You
So
know,
where were you in that 10?
It had cousins and all that.
Okay.
Know, so we always had a full house. But I learned how to be independent and take care of myself.
Well, evidently you became quite a leader, because you went into the physics department down in Temple University, didn't you?
Well, yeah, because even though in our age we had the movies, so I was like the regular kid. Go to the movies Saturday matinees, and get your box of candy and your popcorn, if you could afford it. So I learned how to make sure I had that money for the weekend. So, and I had nieces and nephews, and I would take them to the movies. So I was protected for them as well. But that was showing that I had leadership ability, because they had to do what I said.
And when you say leadership ability, that led you into Temple University. Now that was no easy accomplishment to go through Temple University and to rise up to a professor the way you are today.
Well, thank you for that. When we didn't get to, when we got turned down on the second grant, God works in strange ways. We lost that grant. We lost the ability to build another helicopter. But one of my partners said he's going to go to Temple. I said, okay, I'm going to Temple too. And I went there and finished my undergraduate work and went to the graduate program in education. And from working on the playgrounds when I was in college, which involved a lot of kids, they kind of pushed me into education due to the fact that I had academia.
So you had to be pretty proficient in the area of mathematics.
Yeah. So, my math, I did algebra and calculus, and I'm certified in chemistry. I'm certified in higher education to teach physics. And I taught 5 years algebra and physics. So
all of that was a plus in the area of aviation and drones in terms of what you're involved in with math. Right?
So the mysterious way that it worked, that it all came together. So through that education, I became an educator, which involved a lot of kids. But I didn't see the kids having fun like I had coming up. So part of my teaching program was to make sure that they enjoy their life as they go through life, and still learn that the key to civilization is mathematics, algebra, and higher learning.
Right.
So I've been having fun for a long time.
Okay, now you eventually came here to Norristown and you joined an organization known as the Vance Center. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you get here in Norristown and got into the Vance Center?
Well, I was visiting one of my longtime friends. I got friends who 50, 60 years old, and this guy named Oscar Vance, who's the chief of police, he was at one of the gatherings. We kind of connected right away. And I found out that he was in Norristown. And I had family that, when I was younger on my mother's side, who lived in Norristown. and I felt comfortable about that. So he told me what he was trying to do, and I've been doing what he's been trying to do.
Mhm.
So we had a good collaboration and developed a friendship that brought me to Norristown. And since I've been here in Norristown, the people have been wonderful.
Tell me a little bit about the program itself, the drone program and the aviation program that you're connected with the Vance Center. What are you doing in that?
Well, our kids need to have an out of the community, not be on the corner self, or not to have hopelessness and don't know where to go, don't know what to do. Aviation is growing. Aviation is a safe way and a quality way to have a good job. So if you don't want to be a pilot, you can also fix the plane. You can do the maintenance work. But there's a big industry who is short of people.
Now, you mentioned that you actually put together a helicopter.
Yeah. And in my early days, when my mind was fresh and abilities was extremely tedious and challenging. So where we are now, and like I said, I thank God for my talent, because it seems like as I went through life, He prepared me for what we're doing today. So we're in Norristown, and we're trying to spread aviation. And I was introduced to the Tuskegee Airmen, and I've been meeting those guys for a very long time, not knowing that actually the reality of how famous they really were. These guys was 90s, in the 90s, one or two was close to 100. So just being around them and then understanding the courage that they had to move forward and the situation of that time in history, I think that was incredible feat. And today we need to maintain those kind of things, and letting our kids know that you can. Because they do try to wipe out our history, and that's the American way. Certain people feel as though that our contribution to history should be erased.
But usually that's a challenge, not only to yourself, but also to the young people today. That when someone challenges you and says, you can't do that, or you can't enter into a certain profession, that makes you want to even work a little bit harder than the other person to get to that position that you want to get to. Tell me a little bit about some of the power of leadership and how you got into that position. You just didn't walk in there.
No, I didn't. What we call PIC, that's the person in charge, the person in command. Well, as I was going along, I'm a learner. I'm always trying to learn. So we had some seminars with different groups of professionals from Boeing, from American Association of Business Teachers, Smith and Klein. So they would do workshops as an educator. And I was discovered in 1997, just over there having fun with some of the equipment that was trying out that was new.
Right.
And they was like, look how fast he's throwing that. Look what he's doing. And they discovered me, and this group took me in. And in 97, during that time, I was traveling extensively around the world with People to People program, which is a delegation of ambassadors to learn how other countries live. So I did that for 14 years. So at the end, I think that's about the 12th year, I met the business group. So they adopted me, and they made my business more proficient. So they would send me around the world each summer, not the world, around the country, and to different universities who would get new materials, and I would go in and do the experimentation and research for the material. And it was a group.
And those things that you learned as far as leadership, mentorship during that period of time, watching other leaders, how they express themselves, how they acted during that period of time. How does your program help the leadership of the young people today?
Well, I've been president of 4 different situations. So when they brought me into the AAPT, I became president of the high school department. I became the president of the higher education department. Then I became the chair nationally. So being the captain of an undefeated basketball team and being very competitive, that nature is put inside you, whether you know it or not. You just get in a situation and you just start competing.
Now,
that's what I did.
Yeah. Now, did you work along with the youth in terms of helping them be mentors in the area of flying drones and getting an education in that area of actually getting certifications to fly the drones and actually certifications to fly airplanes?
Absolutely. With the drones, there's so many opportunities today to have a better quality of life flying drones. Drones are in real estate. Drones are in construction. Drones are in the police. Drones are in the military. And I could go on and on and on. So these opportunities are here for our kids now. But of course, nobody tells our kids these opportunities because other communities get them first, load up the quality of the workmanship, and then our kids come in on the top. Well, this is an opportunity for them to be independent leaders and run their own business, and then have a better quality of life. So as we move along, just like if they were a basketball team, they jump in there and they fly the drone.
All right, now how long does it take a person, like if they came to the Vance Center, how long does it take for them to go into the drone program and also the aviation program and also the FAA to get their certifications to do drones or to get their license? How long does that take?
So I'm finding out, I've been doing 13 weeks, but then you have the scale of how much a person can learn. So it's up to them to come in for the 13 weeks and learn, but they have to independently do some studying on their own to get their commercial license. You can have a recreational license, which is you want to fly around, have fun, you can do that. But if you want to make money with the drones, that's a commercial certification. You come in and you study 13 weeks at Vance Community Center, and you get your certification, and then there's rules, there's real estate, there's a lot of jobs that will come to you if you had that certification.
That's good. That is very good. And in today's society, very difficult for young people to get jobs unless they are educated. So how does your program fit as far as Temple University is concerned, and also the Vance Center and other centers that you're involved with? How does that prepare them for going into those jobs that you just talked about?
One of the most important things that I learned through life is that everybody has a brain and everybody has a quality and ability to learn. So there's no pushing anybody down because they may be homeless. Those brains out there may be super brains, but they just need direction. So we put them in the right situation. A lot of times our people prosperous and grow.
Okay, and did you notice during your expertise in your field, did the people become more expert in their area in terms of learning to fly and different things like that, and the confidence of flying an airplane or even a drone in your area? Did you notice the confidence in these people?
Oh yeah, so I noticed when they first start, it's scary, but they learn how to think. So that's when you learn the ability to accomplish. So what I found at the end of the program, that confidence is instilled in them, and they have the ability to learn whatever's put in front of them. So they have to take that certification test, but they accumulate and study well throughout the program. And then they become the PIC and the winner.
But do you think that your program is effective as far as the community impact and also the vision of where these young people are going to go after they get that education through your program?
Well, the purpose is to give them the ability to have a job, to have a quality of life. What that quality of life means that they can get their own home, they can get their own car, they can pay their bills, and they can raise a family.
And do you feel that in terms of the mentorship and them growing, that this type of education is going to be helpful to the average person that comes into the door?
Well, here we go. That average person will surprise you, and you find out that they're above average. I've been in different situations where like I said, I've been in a lot of different groups, and you cannot underestimate the mind. When somebody wants to do something, they can. So that's what we instill. That's what we inspire. Through our accomplishment, they can see with their own eyes, they can touch us and see that we accomplished.
That's good. I can see that you have very positive aspect about yourself and also in youth in terms of that. And do you feel that all that you're doing is going to affect the community as a result of what you're doing now?
Like I said, if you get a better quality of life, you can get a home, you can get a car, you can get a date, you can take a girl to the movie. I put all that in there because that's what you want to do as a young person.
So they become a full-fledged human being, and if it's a teenager, they become a youthful teenager to community, and they accomplish those things that they're trying to do.
We want them to become an adult. So in adulthood, you got to leave all the childish ways behind you. So if you're going to raise a family, you're the head of that family, because your children are going to come along, and you're going to have to lead those children to have a better quality of life as well. So if you have an income coming in, you're going to have a better quality of life, and you won't, it's going to be trials and tribulations, but you'll be able to handle them much better. Because bills, you'll find out who Bill is. You'll find out who IRS is.
Yes.
And all those other guys who have abbreviations in their name.
Right. And in terms of what you just described and everything, give me one word that you would describe today's youth.
Hopeful. What is missing is that there's a lot of hope in these kids. They want to do right, but if nobody's telling them what is right, they're going to do it their way.
Now, there's a lot of conflict and a lot of reservation and a lot of focus on our youth today in terms of the negative things that are occurring. You think we'll ever overcome that?
I don't call it negative, because each group of generation, there comes change. It's the generation who just left their popularity time. It's the new generation time for popularity. Okay. So therefore you're pushed to the side, so you don't like it. Right. But let's give our kids, the younger people, the freedom to learn. We're in a technological age. We're not in a use your fingers and dig holes age. They don't want to do that.
And in terms of your program, and how do they pay for this? The youth.
Well, our kids gotta understand everything costs. So there's various ways of paying to get ahead. Education costs money. Flying the drones costs money. Flying the airplane costs money. But if you want something, you find a way to make it happen. Even if you gotta wash windows, they come up with the amount that you need to get that certification. Even if you gotta go drive cars and pick somebody up the Uber way, you can accumulate money. But you gotta work, put the work in to fulfill your dream.
And who were or who is your model or the person that you looked up to as giving you the type of inspiration to follow through to do the various things that you're doing today?
One thing I realized, my father's from a big family, and they had a lot of land, and they worked. My father had 10 kids, and he worked. So a little bit of that sprinkled off on me that I know I cannot accomplish anything unless I put the work in.
Okay. All right. Well, you really covered it very well, in terms of your involvement with drones and aviation. And you also covered it very well in terms of what is required for a leader to grasp the various skills to become involved with that. So I think you did a very good job in terms of doing that. I appreciate you coming today to explain to us that what a child has to do, or a teenager, or even an adult can do in that program that you have. Is there anything else that you would like to say in reference to your program to encourage the young people and even senior citizens in terms of what you're doing today?
Yes, the future is now. Don't be thinking about tomorrow. The future is now. So right now I'm on a mission to have over 100 pilots to fly airplanes, to fly drones. That's my mission.
Okay. And in terms of registering, how would they register to accomplish those things that you talked about today?
So we will put out flyers for people to respond to. We go into the middle schools and high schools to give them the information on how to get involved with flying the drone or aviation.
Okay. And do you have a contact that they can contact you in the event that you would like to contact any mentors or teachers or people in your field?
Yeah, presently we have a lot of STEM groups. So we're working through the STEM contract. So we tell the STEM leaders that aviation and drone is the highlight of the day for quality jobs. So we use them for the advertisement, we use them for the connections, and then they respond by email. And then we look over the email for the registrations, and then we invite them in to introduce ourselves, and then we begin going forward.
Okay, Mr. Bagley, Jay Bagley, I want to thank you personally for the outstanding work that you have been doing in the area of drones and aviation. And we look forward to have you do this again on this show and to move forward in a very positive way to help our youth, to bring them into the community, not only here in Norristown, but also Philadelphia, Montgomery County, and surrounding areas. So thank you very much for coming today, and we look forward to having you again. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. God bless you.